Okay, hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the 19th of November 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Tuesday's morning session where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, view the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, now also just a quick mention of our JFD YouTube channel here, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course our JFD Bank website, but specifically our JFD research page, which we update on a daily basis. So yep, feel free to check us out here on jfdbank.com. Click on the research tab right here and it will take you to our page, which we, like I said, update on a daily basis. So yep, feel free to visit it here, and I believe you can find a lot of useful stuff. Okay, so right now let's jump into the charts. Now the first one I want to touch on here is the FTSE100. Now yesterday the FTSE had a bit of a mixed trading here, so in a way it did have a nice push higher initially, but then sold off. And looking at this 4-hour chart here, we can see that the picture has kind of remained the same. And I talked about the FTSE yesterday in my Traders Espresso, and basically what I was saying, that as long as it kind of stays here in this little pattern here, and the pattern here is somewhat of a descending triangle basically. So on one side it's kind of trading still below its downside resistance line taken from the high of the 7th of November, and on the other hand it's kind of stuck here above the 7,245 level here. So it's this support zone, very strong support zone, which as you can see, the index is kind of struggling to overcome for now. So in a way, we're going to remain neutral. We're going to continue observing this one, because for us to get excited about further declines, we need to see a drop below the 7,245 level, because this way the index would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and we could then aim for the area around the 7,140. In terms of the upside, well, we need to see a break of this downside line, or the upper side of the descending triangle. And in addition to that, we would like to see, just for that extra confirmation, we would like to see a push above the 7,350 zone, somewhere around here, guys. And if we do see something like that, then yep, we will aim for the 7,440-41 zone, which is marked by the high of the 27th of September. So for now, like I said, we are kind of stuck here, and we're waiting for that clear move out of this pattern. So let's see which way that's going to break out. For now, like I said, we are going to remain neutral. The German DAX here, so a similar kind of story. Also, it's stuck, but this one is stuck in a little range here. I've mentioned this one yesterday in my Espresso as well. So basically, this one's stuck between the 13,144 zone on the downside, roughly around there, and roughly on the below, still stuck below the 13,300 level now, which is the upper side of this little range. So in a way, again, not, to be honest, not really rocket science here. We're still waiting for a clear break through one of these sides before we could examine a further directional move. So guys, keep your eyes on this one. Gold. I've looked at gold last week, and this is what I was talking about, basically, that in a way, for us to consider further declines, we would like to see a nice good push further away from this 1459 zone. We did get a break initially, but as you can see, the bulls didn't quite allow this commodity to kind of drift, let's say, lower. They quickly pushed it back inside this, and now we can say that this is somewhat of a range, I would say. But again, we cannot really talk about the upside yet because, as I've also mentioned in my previous videos, this is the barrier that we need to see getting broken before we could see further moves higher. Now, ideally, not only the break that we would need to see here, ideally we would like to see a daily close above this level. But again, if we're looking at the 4-hour chart, we will start considering higher areas if we get a nice 4-hour candle close here above this 1475. Of course, don't get me wrong, this doesn't really mean that that's it. So from here it's going to start moving higher and higher. No, we'll just keep it short and simple. If we get a 4-hour candle close here above this 1475 mark, then yes, we will aim for higher levels. And especially, for example, today, if we do get something like that, then our target is going to be around this 100 EMA, or even better, around the 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart, which also currently coincides with the R2, which is today's R2. So, and that's roughly around the 1484 mark. So that's a very good potential area of resistance. But again, as I said, we need to see a nice good break here initially, or ideally maybe, or not ideally, but we would prefer to see maybe at least a close of a 4-hour candle above this level in order to get a little bit more comfortable with higher areas. Bitcoin. I looked at Bitcoin yesterday and well, actually last week as well. So, but yesterday basically I've removed the falling wedge pattern kind of idea because we managed to break the lower side of it, and but we were still hanging around above this barrier right here that I was talking about previously, the 8,370 zone. So in a way, this is what we needed to see in order to start considering lower areas. You can see that we did get a break, a nice break here lower. So that's wonderful for the bears. And what I was saying, that in a way we could see this one drifting further south. Now, our ideal target is going to be around the 7,333 zone, which is the low of the 23rd of October. Now, again, we'll be very careful here. We're going to be very cautious. Of course, as long as it kind of continues to trade below this downside line here, still the path of least resistance is more to the downside. In a way, don't get me wrong, we may see a bit of correction here because we are quite overstretched here to the downside, so something like this could be possible. And in a way, if you're not really comfortable of targeting the 7,333 zone, initially we may target something a little bit closer. And one of the levels to consider, and let me just put this one on the chart, could be around here, somewhere around here, guys. Yes, that's correct. Somewhere around here. Now, near the 7,860 zone, which is marked by the low of the 18th of October. So, in a way, and that level also today coincides with the S2. So basically, very good potential target here. So, yep, keep your eyes on this one, guys. For now, basically, there is more potential for this one to move lower, given that we've managed to break this 8,370 zone. But in terms of the upside, well, again, I keep moving this barrier here, and the further it moves down, the more I move the potential breakout point to the upside. But the 8,850 level that I spoke about yesterday, still, this is the level that kind of we will keep an eye on, because if we get a push above this level here, this would also place the price above its 200 EMA here, or in other words, above all of its EMAs here. Then, yep, we will aim for higher levels. We will get a little bit more comfortable. Of course, don't get me wrong, we could see a bit of a possibility here maybe to move higher if we get a push above the 8,700 zone right here. So in a way, what you could do here is how you could play this one out is if we get a break of this downside line, don't rush into this yet. If we start seeing a push above the 8,700 zone, now this is where we will start getting a little bit more comfortable, but we'll keep a very tight stop loss. But if we get a push above the 8,850 zone, now this is where it could become a little bit more exciting for more buyers, and we could see this one drifting higher. So that's why for now, guys, I'll still keep my arrow here from this barrier right here, the 8,850, because that's what's going to be a little bit more comfortable for us. This is, of course, we'll start considering higher levels here above the 8,700, but again, like I said, to get a little bit more comfortable, this is the level to watch. NZDJPY. Now, a very quick mentioning of this one. To be honest, not much to talk about here. Just wanted to kind of run this by you again quickly. I talked about this one last week, and basically we're still stuck inside this range here, so we're keeping an eye on this range is roughly between the 69 level on the downside and the 70 mark on the upside. So for now, we're going to keep an eye on this one, and basically we need to see a push through one of these levels through one of these sides before we could examine, let's say, a further directional move. Don't get me wrong, we're still climbing kind of above this, or should I say trading above this upside support line taken from the low of the 2nd of October. This short term, a bit tentative, don't get me wrong, a bit tentative upside support line. So we'll keep an eye on this one, and in a way, if we see a break of this upside line, yes, it could increase the chances of a, let's say, move lower, but to be a little bit more let's say confident with lower areas, a drop below the 69 zone would be required. So, or ideally maybe a daily close below this 69 level, and only then we will aim for the downside. But as long as it kind of stays here in this little range here, we will remain neutral for now. A quick update on USDCAD. Now, I talked about this one yesterday. Finally managed to break this this level here, the 1.3212. I talked about this one, and you can see that the pair drifted lower, managed to move further away here, further to the downside. It managed to reach this area near the 1.3160, or sorry, 1.3177, 76 zone. But as you can see, the bulls quickly pushed the rate back above its 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart, but they're struggling to get it back above the 1.3212. For now, everything's kind of leaning still more towards the downside. Now we can redraw this downside, this upside line, and make it more a downside a short-term tentative downside line, something that we will keep an eye on. And in a way, if we get a push above this downside line, then there is a possibility for this one to move back to the upside. But as long as it kind of trades here below this downside line, the path kind of is looking more towards south. But again, now looking at this picture, we would like to see a drop below the 200 EMA before we could start examining lower areas again. And by lower areas, we're only going to drag this one up until the 1.3153 marked by the low of the 7th of November, and then we'll take it from there. With the upside, if we do get a push above this downside line, then the next target for us, or should I say the main target for us for now, would be near the 1.3270 mark, so which is basically the high of last week. So let's keep an eye on this one. GBPUSD, something that I haven't looked at for quite a while, and basically, to be honest, not much happening here, and the only thing is that we managed to break this little short-term tentative downside line here, taken from the high of the 21st of October. We managed to break it to the upside, and now the rate seems to be climbing higher. Don't get me wrong, we do have a strong area of resistance here near the 1315 mark, and in a way, for us to get a little bit more excited about higher levels, ideally we would like to see a push above that level, above the 1.30, 1.31, oh sorry, 1.3013 level, roughly around there. And only then we will consider higher areas, because this would confirm a forthcoming higher high. And yep, we could start aiming for, and let me just zoom out of this one a little bit here, guys. Our next target is around the 1.3177 mark, which is basically the high of the of May, the highest point of May. So good potential area of resistance, but again, we need to see a push above that barrier, above the 1.3013 zone first, before getting excited about higher levels. In terms of the downside here, now let me just zoom in here a little bit. In terms of the downside, it's also a little bit of a tricky one here, because in a way we can, first of all, let's redraw this line here. So now we can draw this little upside, short-term tentative kind of upside support line. Oh, there we go. Wait a moment. So in a way, we'll keep an eye on this one. I get it. It's a bit of a tentative one, but nevertheless, we'll keep an eye on it. So in a way, if we get a drop below this area, below this upside line, and then we start seeing a drop below the 1.2866 mark, roughly around here, which is the low of the 15th of November. Then, yep, we could start maybe looking at some lower areas. Initially, we will target this little low right here, the low of the 8th of November, which is marked near the 1.2767 mark. This also coincides with the 200 EMA for now, 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart, of course, and then, yep, we'll take it from there. If it wants to drift further down, yes, we will consider lower areas. We might even consider this upside support line taken from the low of the 3rd of September. Now, as you can see, overall, the pair is still within an uptrend here and still trading above this upside support line. But again, for now, let's keep it short and simple. For now, you can see that the pair is trying to make its way higher. The only thing is that for us to get comfortable with upside, further upside, a push above the 1.3013 level would be needed. So until then, we're going to remain a little bit, or should I say, cautiously bullish, maybe more to the neutral side. But again, like I said, keep your eyes on on this level right here for the upside, and for the downside, we need to see a drop below this upside line and a drop below the 1.2866 before we could aim for slightly lower areas. And also, if we see a drop below this level here, below the 1.2866, this would also place the rate below all of its EMAs. Below all of its the other EMAs. Let's put it that way: the 21, the 50, and the 100 EMAs. We still have the 200 EMA here as our target, but it would be below this. So in a way, it increases the chances of a possible test of this 200 EMA. So let's keep an eye on this one. And the Euro USD, the last one for this session. I talked about this one yesterday, and basically what I was saying that in a way, if it continues to trade above this 1.1043 zone, there is a possibility for this one to kind of move back to the upside. We did have a perfect test of the 1.1093 level, and that happened yesterday. So you can see that the pair then drifted lower. This is what I was talking about yesterday, guys. That's why I didn't want to drag this one further north. So like I said, we rather go step by step on this one. So we managed to reach this area, almost actually managed to reach this area, just fell shy of a few pips from hitting that level. And now it kind of drifted back down, tested the 200 EMA, from which it kind of rebounded again. So in a way, how we could do this one right now and how we could play this one right now is we'll keep an eye on this 1.1093 level. So if we get a push above that, then we will start considering higher areas. We will aim initially for the 1.1127, but even better, we do have the 1.1140 zone as a slightly better potential area of resistance. But again, we need to see a push above this level first. And let me just put kind of highlighted a little bit here. So we need to see a push above the 1.1093 before we could get comfortable with higher areas, because at this point it may drift back down and start selling off again. So how we could play this one out for the downside is we will lift our potential breakout point a little bit higher here. So basically now we're going to keep an eye on this 1.1043 zone. So yesterday I talked about this level because we were still hanging around here, but today, given that we've managed to move a little bit higher here, if we see a drop below the 1.1063, yes, this increases the chances of a further drift lower, but just for that extra confirmation, probably a push below the 1.1043 could do the trick here for more sellers. And then we will aim for the 1.10 area, somewhere around there, or even better, the 1.0989 level that I keep talking about in every one of my videos where I'm covering euro dollar. So that's why, guys, for now, just keep an eye on these two. So on the upside, keep your eyes on the 1.1093, and on the downside, keep your eyes on the 1.1043. So let's see which way this is going to break out. For now, there is more possibility for this one to move higher because it is kind of it is keeping up with the momentum here. But again, like I said, for that extra confirmation, a push above the 1.1093 could do the trick here for more buyers. And then we will aim for the 1.1140 zone. Okay, guys, so I really hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for sticking around and watching it till the end. If you want to join me later on in my traders tea time, as always, that's 14:15 GMT. If you do want me to cover any of the specific instruments, then yep, please leave a comment after the video is uploaded, and then yep, I'll be happy to pick it up on my next video. So thank you very much for joining in, guys. Have a safe trading day. Like I said, let's resume at 14:15. Let's have a look at some of these instruments, some other instruments as well, and we'll take it from there. See how the market is reacting. Be very careful today. We don't have a very eventful day in terms of economic data, but of course keep an eye on the news that are coming out surrounding trade talks, because that's what kind of triggered a small sell-off yesterday in the equity markets. So yep, guys, keep your eyes on the news, keep your eyes on the Brexit news as well. Those might start showing up. So yep, let's see how the market reacts to that. But we'll kind of pick up on everything again today at 14:15 GMT. Thank you very much, and bye bye.